Today I had a great conversation with a client by the name of Rachel, and we were looking at the idea of how does dehydration influence her aerobic capacity. And when we started looking at the data, I thought this would be a great video for you guys to kind of go back and evaluate your last athletic performance, whether that was aerobic and or anaerobic. For the sake of this video, I'm going to speak exclusively about the aerobic side, which would be low intensity. If you follow me for any period of time, I'm a huge advocate for enhancing the aerobic base of an individual, whether you're considering yourself an athlete or you're not, or if you consider yourself an average athlete or even an elite athlete. The necessity of building an aerobic engine cannot be overstated. It is the fundamental component to top-end speed and endurance. But that's not what I want to talk about today. What I want to talk about today is how you can evaluate if you're dehydrated with two simple evaluation tools. The first one, if you followed me for any period of time, hopefully you've downloaded the sweat rate calculator. It's in the description box. The link to it is in the description box here on YouTube. We want to keep your sweat rate between 1 and 2%, not losing more than 2% and losing at least 1%. I don't want that to be confusing. When you exercise, you should be losing fluid. Your respiration rate is up, your sweat rate is up, bodily functions, converting stored glycogen into energy. There's a lot of chemical processes that are taking place. So you should never gain weight during a workout. You should always lose, but we want to make sure that that loss is kept to 2% or less. That's the sweet spot, between 1 and 2%. The calculator below makes it very simple. Just put in your pre and your post weight, as well as document how much fluid you've consumed, and it'll tell you if you're in the sweet spot. But now we want to go back and look at it from an aerobic evaluation standpoint. I have my athletes do quite a bit of maximum aerobic function assessments, where we take heart rate zone 2, we know what the lower number is and we know what the high number is, and we stay within that and we do a certain duration of activity. When we know that the heart rate range is precise, and then we look at the average pace, we should see that be similar, and or as the aerobic engine and strength base develop, we should see them be slightly faster at the same heart rate range. But I want to come back to the context of the video today. How would you know if you're dehydrated and if the dehydration is causing a negative effect on your aerobic capacity? And that would be because the variables go the opposite direction. You're noticing that the pace is getting slower and the heart rate is going up. Now, I don't want this to be a complicated subject. I just want you to know how to utilize the information that you're gathering on your Garmin and what would be going on from a scientific standpoint behind it. A cell membrane, when it becomes dehydrated, carries less oxygen. Do you see how all of a sudden, and I'm hoping this is a mental aha, if you know what your aerobic ranges are and you know what kind of pace you should be able to maintain, this is one of the benefits of having a very strong aerobic engine, because it's predictable. When we're dealing with lactate tolerance, anaerobic threshold, extremely high numbers, there's a lot of variables that could negatively impact your ability to sustain that top end speed. The aerobic is very, very easy. The stress level is very low on the body. The oxidative stress is very low on the body. The ability to dissipate heat is pretty predictable. But this is where you can use the information, and I hate to use it in a negative context, but that was the nature of the conversation. If you know what your aerobic pace is, and it's the heart rate is going above that and the pace is going slower, you know you're dehydrated. Now, if you are weighing yourself every day, your goal is to make sure that you're 3 to 5 pounds heavier at night than you are in the morning every single day. That's a very simple way for you to make sure that you're properly hydrated. Don't use the scale for body fat percentages and all that. Just look at it from a hydration standpoint. So put those elements together. Knowing what your maximum aerobic function pace is and knowing what that range is, if the pace is slower and or the heart rate is higher, I'm not going to say it answers it every single time, but I'm comfortable saying it's going to answer it probably 95% of the time, you're dehydrated. Because a hydrated cell carries more oxygen. So when your heart rate is elevated at an aerobic pace and or at the aerobic pace, the pace is slower than normal, that's just a muscle that's not sliding and gliding. That's a heart rate that's elevated because of the lack of water in the blood carrying less and less oxygen. I hope that created an aha moment for you. I know it did talking with my client, and that's why I enjoyed putting these videos together. Is I want you guys to have insight on things that, as we joke in our office, I don't want you to step over $1 to pick up a penny. A lot of the stuff that is required to feel good and strong and healthy, and then to be able to take that and elevate it into athletics if it's relevant to you, sometimes it's like so easy it gets missed. And I hope that doesn't come across condescending at all. When I have these conversations, and I always enjoy speaking with you guys, whether it's on the phone or whether it's via email, I enjoy it because I know if you have a question or you're going through something, all of our subscribers probably have a similar question. So if you happen to have a question and I can help you break down a frustration, or maybe we can clarify something, please do me a favor and send it to me via email, contact@coachrob.com. We put a video out here on YouTube every day, so please remember to like and subscribe. Appreciate your time today, and I certainly look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.